With Toy Story and Wreck-It Ralph officially becoming canon to the franchise, I got a lot of wish fulfillment out of Kingdom Hearts 3, but there is still a lot of potential to explore. That said, there are also things from previous titles that we haven't given much thought to since they first appeared. Or disappeared. I don't want to complain about Kingdom Hearts 3 for any reason. The internet's done a lot of that for me. Now, I want to shed light on the top 5 things I would like to see come back or get reimagined into a future Kingdom Hearts game. Starting with number 5, Destiny Islands. Since the name implies that there are multiple islands, this place could offer Square a lot of creative potential. However, since the conclusion of the first installment, it's been little more than a dumping ground for exposition. Returning to this place only for cutscenes takes away the nostalgic satisfaction of exploring the world anew, just like we felt when seeing Radiant Garden in its heyday. On top of that, I think we're all eager to see more of the main island. And Sora's mom.
Sora?
Number 4, Dumbo. Much like Sora's mom, the bubble-blowing baby pachyderm hasn't made much of a splash since Kingdom Hearts 1. Sora's reunited with summons like Mushu and Simba, and exploring their worlds has been a treat. Getting to run around the circus like the little kid we all know Sora to be would lift my heart. It's been ages since I've seen clowns portrayed in a non-creepy likeness, and circus-themed mini-games could provide a much-needed change of pace from Winnie the Pooh. Especially if Nomura can find a place for the pink elephants, or a nod to Disneyland's famous parades. Number 3, Zack. Now, Sora has crossed paths with many who ran into the Birth by Sleep Brigade. Yes, that's what I'm calling them now. And I'm afraid that these instances don't really count as reunions even if Ventus was technically there. But I'm calling attention to someone Sora hasn't met. Fans of Final Fantasy VII could tell you what happened to the guy, but the context of his Kingdom Hearts story and his connection to Cloud and Sephiroth therein is given a nod to, not an explanation. Worse yet, chronologically, we never hear anybody mention his name after he disappears. Sure, Cloud says he's looking for somebody in Kingdom Hearts 1, but he could just as easily have been talking about Sephiroth. At least I'd like to see Ven make good on his promise to visit Hercules, and Peter, and depending on how things progress, 626. Sorry, Stitch. Number 2, the Old Mansion. Now, every town has its old buildings that people whisper about, yet in spite of knowing more than most Twilight Town residents, we still know next to nothing about the famous Old Mansion. Who built the mansion, and when, why and when it was abandoned? Why does the secret lab hold 8 pods if only 3 were needed? And on that note, why couldn't Ansem have just suspended Roxas in sleep instead of trapping him in a datascape? Wouldn't that have been easier? And why exactly was Roxas born there? I mean, I know it's an in-between world, but Naminé has the exact same lineage, and she showed up at Castle Oblivion, where we now know at least 1/3 of her was sleeping at the time. So that makes sense, but the other 2 were in another world entirely. And before Kingdom Hearts 2, neither Sora or Kairi had ever been to Twilight Town. So the only reason I can think of for Roxas to show up there is if Ventus was somehow connected to the mansion. And does the unicorn motif have anything to do with the Foreteller era? There's just so much that hasn't been touched on here, and I'm at the point where I need to just move along before this turns into a rant. Number 1, interactability. It might sound obvious, but I should probably explain what I mean by this. Whether we're using flow motion to get around or ringing the bell at the hotel, there's an intrinsic joy in touching something you're told not to, or finding out what this button does. It's the joy of being a child, and it's what Disney strived to emulate in his work. As an autistic person, I appreciate attention to detail and respect for history, like how Kingdom Hearts 3 turned the hidden Mickey tradition into the Lucky Emblem hunt. It gave me the same joy of discovery I felt when examining Ariel's Who's Its and What's Its galore and wondering what all those Trinity marks did. I mean, Sora is basically childhood personified. He's serious when he has to be, but when he's just being himself, he's silly, curious, friendly, and always full of energy. He really hasn't changed at all since he was a child, and this isn't a bad thing, because unlike most of us, he's growing up without forgetting how to be happy. And that's something we can learn from him. Actually, I think Disney's been trying to teach us for decades.